Hey everyone, this is Chris, formerly known as Aho-kun, the editor for Baka Proof.
And this is Andrew, formerly known as Same-san. I helped write a lot of the lessons.
So we've been gone for a pretty long time now, and I'm sure people are wondering where we've been and why we haven't uploaded any videos. Originally, we started off making Baka Proof videos for fun, and the growth got to our heads. And we started we were running like a business when we had no business doing that. We were hiring writers and editors and just stuff that we couldn't handle, and we all got kind of burned out, and life came at a lot of us got jobs at the time.
Yeah, two out of the three of us were just finishing up school and getting into full-time careers, and it was just this perfect storm of trying to do too much with Baka Proof while getting started with careers, and it was difficult to sustain.
You might be wondering where the main voice for Baka Proof has gone. He's doing his own thing now. He definitely still loves Baka Proof, but he's just not in a point in his life where he wants to come back. However, I still don't really know Japanese that well, but I have been studying on and off for a while, and I really think that I never learned Japanese faster than when I was working on Baka Proof. So I'm just going to try coming back to do some videos here and there, kind of more as a learner with learners rather than a teacher teaching people on YouTube. And hopefully you guys can learn too with me.
Yep, and I'll be around as well. I have a fair bit of experience with Japanese. I studied abroad in Japan and took a bunch of years of Japanese in school, so I'll help out Chris wherever I can.
So we're going to go ahead and answer a couple of these questions that we went through. Unfortunately, we can't answer all of them. Some of them are very specific to videos, but we'll try to put out a lot more. Well, I'm going to try, not a lot, I'm going to try to put out some stuff to maybe clear up some confusion. So we'll first start with a comment that's kind of common with one of the most confusing points of Japanese, which is the particles. So Webkins Liker 264 commented and said, I thought that wa had emphasis on the word before it, and the video they're referring to used ga. So we get this comment pretty often. People get confused about the use of wa and ga, even though there's a video out there that kind of touches on both of those, and they kind of use it as the end-all blanket statement for wa and ga, and that's not really how it works. We just put it out there to kind of like alleviate all those questions, like, oh yeah, people are like, oh yeah, I finally get it, you know. But no, there's way deeper levels to this than we could ever explain in a 3-minute video. And that was the problem with Baka Proof. Like, it was very easily digestible, but the content was so dense that we couldn't really include everything that we wanted to, or anything that would be easily comprehensible to everyone. So we were trying to keep it so that anything we said could be understood, but at the same time people were thinking that's all there is to it. It's not that simple.
I think this is a subject that textbooks cover particularly poorly, and I think that's just because there really isn't a concrete rule to it. I mean, so what many sources will tell you is that wa is the topic marker and ga is the subject marker.
But as you saw, like that explanation with the subject and the topic, like those two words are already kind of confusing in themselves in English. And that was kind of like our philosophy for the videos. It was like, avoid like textbook explanations, because no one understands textbook explanations. And really, when it comes to wa and ga, you just gotta, you know, listen to the anime you're watching actually, instead of just reading the subs. You know, you gotta feel it, you gotta get used to it. It's not really something you think about. To our next question. So Hail Gorgaroth says, in Erased, Kaio says baka nano, and that means are you an idiot? So does daijoubu nanu mean are you okay? And it's a valid sentence. Yes, though that does mean exactly that. There's a lot of ways to end a sentence other than this, which we didn't really explicitly say ever, which kind of confused some people. And I think you had something to say about this, right?
Yeah, somebody can correct me on this in the comments, but in many ways, the nano question ending is kind of a colloquialism in the sense it comes from like the ndes form, which is like for explaining things. Here I go, going textbook again. But just the point is, with this structure, you could say almost anything. The only thing that would be really concretely wrong is if you said like Daijobu desu nano, like that would be definitely wrong. Um, but you can put nano at the end of any short form sentence, and it'll be right. Just provided that you're ending with a noun.
When you see like structures like this, you can pretty much try your best at making a sentence, and it probably will be right, but no one's ever going to kill you for being wrong unless you're making YouTube videos. So there's so many exceptions in language that you kind of just have to accept anything you see because clearly people use it. That means it's right.
Just remember, people learning English as a second language, if they learn from textbooks and then come to America, they find themselves not understanding anything because most Americans, for example, just break all the rules of English. So,
all right, next question. How come Umaru-chan is a chibi but her brother isn't? Well, in the anime, Umaru is actually a human, regular human, when she's at school, and she's really pretty and nice and studious, but when she comes home, she becomes a little gamer, eats lots of snacks and drinks a lot of cola, and she kind of turns into this little chibi thing. Next question. Okay, so there's a lot of comments about pronouns, which are like the I, you, me, all that stuff, and it's a really weird concept, especially for someone who speaks English, because we don't have that many pronouns.
And a lot of people kind of have these blocks that they put different pronouns in. So like, they say boku is informal, watashi is formal, atashi and uchi are mostly for women, things of that nature. The truth of it is, most of us who are consuming, Baka Proof and then learning Japanese will go to Japan as foreigners. And I would say, if, as a foreigner, you're never wrong with watashi. You'd probably never be wrong with boku either, just because honestly, Japanese people don't necessarily expect a foreigner to know about like tenego and all the different kinds of honorifics and how to speak politely and all that stuff. But I would say, if you're a foreigner and you start, throwing around ores in Japan like a high school boy, like it just sounds weird. It looks weird. So
it's another like thing that textbooks can never teach you. You just have to see it. You have to really just observe Japanese for a long time to really get the feeling behind all these words. And, anime is a great place to learn where all these come from, because you probably won't hear like the most informal pronouns out. Even if you went to Japan, you probably wouldn't hear them that often. So seeing it
right.
in anime is really, it's a tool that we have that people who put down anime don't have.
And it's also worthwhile to put some time into some live action series as well, just because in many cases live action series are scripted to fit kind of a different style of speaking. I think in anime you see a lot of really hard archetypes. So you'll have like super manly men who are just ore this and yabe and all this stuff. But then if you go to live action, you'll see like there's just a bunch of different ways that people speak, and knowing what's exactly going to be right in a situation is just experience and practice.
Going off of that, someone asked about anata, which means you, which you probably use you a lot. I just used it like 3 times in that sentence. But in Japanese, if you're trying to be polite, or if you're trying to be safe, just use that person's name.
Right. Names are used much more frequently in Japanese, and honestly 9 times out of 10 it's either going to be their name or nothing at all.
Okay, so this guy just asked, he very politely asked us to please answer. So he says, now I'm going to school, and he tries to translate it as watashi wa ima gakko ni iku, which means exactly what he said, and that's absolutely right. So Gazooks asks, I'm a little confused about the ni. I learned ni indicates a place where something is. Tokyo, like he gives an example, and or it would be the h, the he, character, indicates destination. Yeah, but he also sees that ni and made, a whole bunch of things come after destinations. So they do matter. They do mean different things. It changes completely.
So ni is used in a variety of situations that include locations and destinations, but they're not limited to it. Now, a is definitely referring to a destination. So, like, you could say "gakko e ikimasu" means I'm going to school. I go to school. Ni can be used in a variety of places, with things like I mail a letter to someone, or the verb naru, to become, uses ni. So, like sensei ni naru, to become a teacher.
I mean, and again, this is just another huge rabbit hole of complexity that you don't ever think about. Like, Andrew and I both know all those rules that he just said, but I never think about them when I'm speaking it. Okay, so here's a question that we get not that often, but it comes up enough to be addressed. Hey, can you make your videos longer? Hey, can you do an entire episode of breakdowns? And we would love to if it was like a feasible thing, but we were getting burned out by one sentence a week because these videos were not particularly easy to produce. Like I'm not a video editor, like a professional or anything. I just do this as a hobby, and it was taking me like I would say like 3 to 4 hours per video. We tried live streaming where we would like watch an episode of anime and break down the sentences, and even that was really crappy because Sensei had to keep rewinding the sentence so that you could repeat it over and over and over so you could actually hear it. And if you want to watch an anime, like one episode of anime, like 8 times, yeah, that's what our videos would turn into because we have to repeat everything and explain everything.
Right. Like, for example, the one intermediate video that we were putting out, like, at the end of the day, our first like 25 to 30 videos were all I would say pretty basic topics. When we started, if we were to start getting into like more intermediate stuff, it just takes forever to actually do the breakdowns properly, write the lessons properly, to the point where it can actually be consumed as a YouTube video. Because a lot of these videos, I mean, we were responding to YouTube comments a lot at the time, but a lot of these videos would raise more questions than they answered. And so there's just kind of this whole cycle of how do we do this right?
And I don't know if you guys think that we just opened up the anime, picked a certain timestamp, like, bam, that's a sentence I want. No, it was like scrubbing through like a whole season of anime, simply looking at sentences. I'm trying to enjoy my anime. I'm trying to watch it as a story. I'm not trying to like look for Baka Proof sentences. So watching the anime and then finding sentences, totally different things. So I was watching everything twice, and then sometimes an anime wouldn't have anything seriously worth considering. So all the sentences that we chose are very, very like curated to actually teach something without bringing up too many other subjects that we haven't covered yet. Another thing that we saw whenever we brought up example sentences, even though we covered them in maybe a video somewhere else, it was like ending a sentence with yo, or in terms of like questions, we had one where it ended with no, and then in another video we said, oh yeah, you end a question with ka. When we make these like blanket statements, like ka is to end questions, everyone's going to be like, okay, well, you said that in another video, now you're contradicting it by saying no ends questions. Well, turns out there's a lot of ways to end questions, just like in any other language, or end any kind of sentence. And in Japanese, it happens so that, you kind of like use a certain sound at the end of your sentence. A lot of people ask what we use to edit our videos. Adobe After Effects for all those fancy bubbles and text pop-up thingies, and Premiere to throw in clips of anime and just other clips of things. Speaking of which, back then we did not monetize our videos and could not put in long clips because we would get dinged for it. And that's why we don't have long anime clips. That's why you're not watching anime on our channel. You're watching one sentence. And we wanted to address this one for a specific video. I'll throw that on the screen so if you haven't watched it yet, but it's a pretty good video about combining verbs and how you literally just put two verbs together with te form. If you don't know what te form is, don't worry about it. You just put them together and they work. In the video, the teacher didn't want to really confuse too many people with things that aren't common, so he used kuru, or to come, very often. Actually, he used in every single example, and then people were just thinking, oh, well, they said that we could put any two verbs together, but he's only using kuru, so that maybe that just means you can only use kuru. No, that's not the case, but kuru works almost every time. Like, you can do anything and return from it.
In this particular example by Diogo de Oliveira Alves, he says mite suru, which technically is a valid sentence, but it is absolutely contextless. So, like, mite suru, like to see and then do, doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Thanks for watching this far into the video, everyone. I know it's a long video and I didn't cover too much because there's a lot of questions that everyone still has, I know. So if you want, you can ask your questions in the comments. I'll try to comment back or maybe answer in another video. If you're interested in hearing more about our teaching philosophies and more info on what happened to Baka Proof in the past, I can definitely divulge on that. There's no secrets or anything, so just let us know. No promises on when videos are going to come out because I am still trying to fix all the stuff, trying to recover all our data and restructure the whole thing without our main man around. So thanks for all the support, and hopefully I'll be seeing you soon.